And we are live, everybody, on the last Wednesday of 2021. It's going to be a New Year's edition. A little Happy New Year's to everybody. I hope everyone had a nice Merry Christmas. But we're on to New Year's. And I know what the guy in red's on to. He's on to Friday afternoon at 3:30. So, Mr. Siciliano, how are you, my friend?
Good, everybody. I hope everybody's well. I'm fired up big time for Friday. Just keep my fingers crossed that we get there with all that's going on for Georgia and Michigan, too. Yep.
Sis, I'm not, I hate Alabama, right? I'm an Auburn fan, so I got to hate Alabama. But I'm excited, too, because there's a lot of people on this show. Well, there's one person on this panel right now that's shaking in their boots because it's finally going to happen. What they wanted, they're going to get it, and they're going to get it bad. And I don't know what the excuses are. We might have to put up a poll of what the excuses are going to be.
That might have to be a special show.
That might have to be a special show because it's going to happen. And you wish for it. Like they say, don't wish for it because it can happen. It's going to happen. Mr. Rosen, how are you? Merry Christmas again and a Happy New Year, Mr. Rosen. How's it going?
Good evening, fellas. Doing well. Glad to be here and hope everybody had a very, very good Christmas.
And
he's got the moose in his hair, I see. Kurt.
Yeah, he's gelled up, baby.
Good.
Just for you, sis.
He's all moosed up.
And by the way, if it's not Mr. Siciliano and it's not Mr. Rosen that are shaking in their boots, I guess it's Mr. Kirkpatrick. You're probably a little more than what? Less than 48 hours. I mean, by Friday, the excuses will be coming out right now. But otherwise, how are you, Mr. Kirkpatrick? A Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year to you. How's it going?
Merry Christmas. Happy New Year to you.
That's good.
I do my talking after the game, so lips are sealed. I ain't saying a word about it.
Mr. Rosen, I'm officially, if the Giants bring back Judge, and Jones, I won't watch a Giant game next year. I'm done with that.
Yeah, it's just, not to change the subject, it's just shocking that what the reports are and what they obviously seem to be doing. It's just unbelievable to me.
It's mind-blowing. Like, why would they even consider that? I don't get it.
Watching already.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be writing it to a person I follow on YouTube. He has a YouTube sports talk show on YouTube. Tom Downey at Chat Sports. He's a big Cowboys fan, but he had, and I'll have to send you the link and you the link.
All right.
He did one on coaching changes, and they did one on Russell Wilson destinations, and he said the Giants should be all in on Russell Wilson. He would make any team better.
It
I'm gonna invite him on the
worse.
show. He agreed to come on our show, so I'm gonna write to him, see if he'd want to come on next week.
Who, Russell Wilson?
Yeah. Tom
No,
Downey.
I'm joking.
Yeah, Tom Downey. He's a writer and reporter on a YouTube channel called Chat Sports.
So, Mr. Kirkpatrick, I know you and Mr. Rosen did a little work on an agenda. So, what do we got going on tonight?
Wait. Let me just correct you. Mr. Kirkpatrick did all the work. I take no credit for anything. He did an amazing job. So all credit is to Mr. Kenny Kirkpatrick.
Paul agreed to be my co-host on this year in review.
Okay.
So we got a
in the bathroom
2021
putting that mousse on his hair.
See, I could be mean and say, wait, guys, I could be mean and say, yeah, I have hair that I could put mousse in, but
There you go.
That's only because you love me. It's all good, though.
that's all. Listen, a long time ago, a friend of mine said, when I stop making fun of you, that's when you have to worry.
Oh, absolutely.
Yep.
So what do we got going on, Mr. Kirkpatrick?
And real quick, for your age, Paul, you do have a nice head of hair.
You do.
Of course, I'm 22 years old, but
Exactly. I'm only 27.
That's it. So, Kurt, tonight we're going to do the year in review in sports.
Okay.
We had ups and downs as always. So, myself and Paul, we're going to host different sports topics, and we're going to go around the panel and about a minute little recap of that story that broke out. Then we got what's on Sis's mind, as always. And at 8:30, we're bringing in a good old friend of ours, Marty joins from Intercept Your Lunch podcast, and he's going to talk some college football in New Year's Eve Six Bowls with us
Okay.
at approximately 8:30. And but yeah, so I wanted to start tonight because I spoiler alert, I usually don't know what's on Sis's mind, but I know it's on his mind this week. And I wanted to start the show off on what's on Sis's mind, and I'll give him the floor. Floor is yours, Sis.
Yes, yes. Kenny requested that I would do John Madden, what's on my mind, and obviously me and Paul were in his era. Not that Kurt and Kenny don't know who John Madden is. Mostly anybody, excuse me, anybody that knows anything about football. He wasn't only a great coach, he was a great commentator. He made it fun on Thanksgiving with the turkey legs and circling, and very, very knowledgeable guy. His whole life was football. He had said that. And real quick, he went to his college. He went to Cal Poly. He was drafted by the Eagles. And unfortunately, he had a knee injury, so that ended his NFL career. He got into coaching at Allen Hancock College, 1960 to 1963. He was an assistant head coach right out of the gate. Moved over to San Diego State, 1964 to 1966 as a defensive coordinator. Went to the Oakland Raiders as a linebacker coach in 1967, excuse me, to 1968. He became one of the youngest head coaches at 32 years old. He took over the Raiders from 1969 to 1978. His record was 103, 22, and 7. Playoff appearances, he was 9 and 7 all time. Super Bowl 1977 winner, 32-14 over the Minnesota Vikings, who had lost their, I believe that might have been their fourth Super Bowl. Post NFL, CBS 1979 to 1993, Fox Sports Network 1994 to 2001, NBC 2006 to 08. He won 16 Emmy Awards. He was very big with his video game, which came out in 1988. That was a huge success. Was elected to the Hall of Fame 2006. He was a TV pitchman for different hardware stores. His biggest one was the Miller Lite commercial. His two favorite quotes were "boom" and "ding." They were great together, him and Summerall. I loved listening to those guys announce games. And the reason why, like Madden said, and I really believe this because it even holds true to today, he said from his coaching experiences, that's why he was able to bring it to his viewers. Because, you know, he coached. Most of these guys today, they're spoon-fed. They never coach it down in their life. And that doesn't make them bad people. It's just that sometimes when you're football knowledgeable and you're watching this, it kind of like it kind of turns you off. You know, people ask, what did he like better? Did he like the video game? You know, what kind of guy was he? His quote was, I'll always be a coach, he said. He had an average of 759, best ever among NFL coaches with more than 100 games. That's phenomenal. And again, boom and doink were his quotes. And I used to love the way he used to go up on the board and, you know, draw the plays. And he you know, the guy, obviously, he was very knowledgeable, living legend. And, you know, TV, again, was an extension of his coaching career. And, again, these announcers today, in my opinion, couldn't shine his shoes. There'll never be another Coach Madden. Rest in peace, Coach Madden. Thank you.
Thanks, Sis. I mean, I'm not going to say much to add because you nailed it all. But Kurt and I, we didn't see him coach, but we knew of him as a coach. Uh, I knew of him as a kid growing up in the '80s, following our great Giant teams with LT, and even into the '90s with Strahan and before Strahan. I remember coming home from Sunday school classes and hoping John Madden was announcing our game. And this is a 10, 11, 12-year-old kid. Oh, I hope John Madden's announcing the game because that's how interested I was as a 10, 11, 12-year-old to see John Madden announce the games. All due respect to the announcers out there today, I don't feel that way towards any of them. I don't care who's announcing the game. There's no superior announcer in my opinion, and his legacy is going to live on. Just with the Madden games, kids know the name. It's going to be there for years.
Totally agree. So,
yep. That's all I wanted to add, and I'll let Paul and Kurt go.
As Sis alluded to, I certainly remember when Madden was the coach of the Raiders. Sis, you'll remember the great battles that the Raiders used to have against the when there was still the old AFL before the merger with the Chiefs, and those games were wars between Hank Stram and John Madden. I mean, you talk about two of the greatest coaches in football history, and back then those games weren't just football; they were actually war. And some of the things that happened between those two teams and the rivalry with the Steelers all those years through the 70s. So Madden was an unbelievable coach and obviously transcended it into the broadcast booth. Him and Summerall were a team that nobody could match nowadays. And it's just unfortunate that he is now passed. And like Sis said, he'll be remembered forever. And I think he's probably one of the last icons of former coach or football player coming into the broadcast booth and really having the following and the respect, not just from football, but the whole sports, the whole sports world. So he was just an amazing man.
They got into it pretty good with Denver when John Wallstein was the coach back in the day. I remember watching a lot of the Oakland Denver games. They were always there was always a bloodbath. But yeah.
Mm-hmm. Actually, when the Jets in the late 60s were good, the Raider Jet games were games also. Absolutely. So and he was coaching then at that point. So you can throw that in.
Yep.
Kurt, what are your thoughts on Madden?
Yeah,
give us the final thoughts
Sis,
on John.
Sis nailed it. And I was watching, like, when I found out the news, we were watching one of the bowl games, and ESPN puts up this stat, and I'm like, oh my God, like, I never knew that. Where, like Sis said, like, he was #1 with the best percentages of coaches coaching over 100 games. And I'm like, I did not know that. Like, so I really don't, honestly, I don't remember him as a coach, obviously, but I do remember him as an announcer. And Kenny, like, when they still bring up and say, who was your favorite announcer? I still go with, like, Dick Enberg and stuff, because I was an AFC guy. So those were the guys on NBC. But Madden and Summerall, sometimes they did the snow game. They were showing highlights of it before on Twitter. The snow game when Gary Reasons hit Bobby Humphrey, and Summerall and Madden were doing it. And they did Super Bowl, I believe, Super Bowl 21, I believe they did. And then they did Super Bowl, what was the 24, the nightmare with Denver and San Francisco. But they were the best. And, listen, I love it because, I love Madden, the game. I still play it. Just bought it, still play it. It's the best video game ever. It's football. John Beelan saying good evening, fellas.
Up, Johnny.
Hey, John.
Johnny boy.
That game that's the realest, closest thing you can get to any kind of a video game with a sport. And, hey, it's rest in peace The guy was one of the best to do it on all levels, and he's definitely going to be missed. Beelan saying, is Kenny still trying out for the Jaguar head coaching position with your new headset?
I would do a better job, that's for sure. Can't do worse.
So that's that, Mr. Kirkpatrick.
All right, well done, sis. I mean, you nailed everything. So really appreciate you doing the John Madden. I felt that was the most important topic of the night, and what better way to start off with than honoring him with your segment.
Thank you for that, sis.
Thanks, sis.
I'm going to do the year in review, fellas. We had, like I said, 2021's been ups and downs, and I'm going to start with 2021. We're going to start with NFL, and we got the top stories in the NFL, and I'm going to go around the room, and I'm going to give you guys each a chance for up to a minute to talk on the topic I pick up. And if anybody wants to ask a follow-up question on it, they're more than welcome to, or I may catch you with a follow-up question. But I'm going to start with Mr. Rosen, and he's going to talk to us about the Super Bowl.
Okay, thanks, Kenny. So you can't start talking about Super Bowl 55 without first starting the day March 20th, 2020, when Tom Brady signed, surprisingly, with the Bucs. Brady and the Bucs defense led the Bucs to beat the defending Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs very easily, 31-9. This was the first time that a team won a Super Bowl playing on their home field, and of course Brady won his 7th championship, and the Bucs won their 2nd Super Bowl championship. They totally dominated the Chiefs' vaunted passing attack, and they held Patrick Mahomes and company in a unlike Kansas City Chief game, and went on to win 31-9.
Thank you, Paul. Anybody? I could just, I mean, it's shocked the world that the dominant performance with the Super Bowl. Thanks for sharing that with us. Kurt, I'm going to move to you for the NFL draft, which is the next story I have for 2021.
All right, well, the NFL draft, it was billed as a really good quarterback draft. And obviously, when, you have quote-unquote franchise type quarterbacks, it's exciting. It's game-changing for a lot of people, and that's what this draft was. Quarterbacks went 1, 2, 3. Obviously, Trevor Lawrence, who's been, has been named since his freshman year, since he beat Alabama as a freshman, the best prospect, in the reigns of, I believe it was Elway, Manning, Elway, Manning, Andrew Luck, and then Peyton Manning. So Elway, Luck, and Manning, and then Lawrence is the next guy. That's just it's another class that you're in. So Lawrence goes 1, the Jets and Beelan takes Zach Wilson, and the 49ers make a major trade and they get Trey Lance. But Sis's boy Mac Jones drops. He winds up in New England with the system. So, is he the best quarterback right now? I don't know. I think it's very hard to tell. But he was definitely put in the best position, and that's why he's right now the more successful. The thing about that is the best players probably in the draft, are they quarterbacks this year? I would say no. I'm going to look at, you have 3 really good receivers, Jamar Chase, Jalen Waddle, and Sis's boy Devontae Smith. All receivers, all first-round picks. But the 2 best players maybe this year, they're both defensive players. And one's my boy, Patrick Surtain, and the other one's on the Dallas Cowboys, Mr. Micah Parsons. So, it's a really good draft. Again, Justin Fields also was another first-round quarterback. So we'll see going forward. But quarterbacks, receivers, and those 2 defensive players. So a great NFL draft.
Agreed. Thank you, Kurt. So those were some of the ups. Unfortunately, we got to have some downs. And Sis, I apologize for giving you a down story in the NFL, but John Gruden and Urban Meyer, two coaches fired this past year, sis.
Well, yeah, and they unfortunately they should have both been fired. Gruden hung himself with emails that's getting into people's personal business, and for a guy making or would have made $10 million, I mean, again, I don't get it. I really think he was a good coach. He was a great motivator and great X and O guy. The other guy, Meyer, I won't even speak on him. He is a piece of garbage.
Thank you, sis. Another story that I didn't assign anybody in my book here. Stadiums did go back to full capacity at the beginning of the year. And, the COVID issues were, trying to keep the COVID out of the stories here, but COVID, affected us, but stadiums did go back to full capacity, and they're still at full capacity to this day. I'm going to announce the Hall of Fame inductees, and then I'm going to pass it off to Paul so we can get into some college football stories.
Real quick, Kenny Beelan saying, sis, Meyer should have never been hired.
He's right.
Yeah. All right,
I hope
2021.
he never gets hired again. He's a disgrace, not only to football, but his family. He's got daughters.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? Garbage.
Yeah. Our
Don't get
2021
me fired up.
Our 2021 Hall of Fame inductees for the NFL. Mr. Drew Pearson, Dallas Cowboys wide receiver, head coach of Raiders, Tom Flores. Mr. Peyton Manning, Mr. Bronco, and of course, Indianapolis Colt. Mr. John Lynch, of course, another Denver Bronco, and Tampa Bay Buccaneer, now the GM for the 49ers. Megatron, Mr. Calvin Johnson, Detroit Lion wide receiver. Alan Fenica, offensive lineman, I believe it's Steelers, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
And Mr. Charles Woodson, defensive secondary, cornerback for the Raiders and Green Bay Packers. Those are your 2021 Hall of Fame inductees in the NFL. I'm going to pass it off to Mr. Rosen to host the college football stories.
Okay, thanks, Kenny. So, like the NFL, college football had fans coming back in this year, and it was probably one of the most exciting college football seasons in a long time. So, sis, I'm going to start off with you. Why don't you talk a little bit about the 2021 national champs, your Alabama Crimson Tide?
That team was in the makings for actually almost 4 years. And obviously last year, not this year, they were just blowing people off the field by 30 or so points. Now, leading into this year, they're young. They made some mistakes. They're lucky they, again, I'm realistic. They're lucky they didn't lose to Auburn because Auburn outplayed them. And this team next year, look out because they're all back. They're all sophomores and juniors, man. So, he's just, as they say, he's reloading. But I was glad to see Devontae got the honors that he deserved. He was a great player. My heart was broken when we didn't get him on the Giants. I know yours was too, because that kid,
Yes.
You could see it now. He's coming around, man. That kid's going to be a great player.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much it. Mm-hmm.
Good. Thanks, sis. We're going to go to Kurt, and you'll talk about the 2021 playoffs coming up shortly.
Well, you want last year's playoff?
No, this year's.
No, this year.
Oh, this year's playoff.
This year's playoff.
What can I? Oh, I'm sorry. That's right. I don't know why I'm doing that. What can I say? I mean, I'm excited about it, and I was just listening to one of I was watching the Clemson game. The guy just said this is one of the most exciting semifinal games between Michigan and Georgia. But I can't wait for 3:30. It's something we've talked about all time. Hey, they got their chance, but we all know I think how that's going to go. Listen, Alabama is going going to, trying to be back to back. Like Sis said, they're young. So if you can't get them now, who knows when you're going to get them. The quarterback will definitely be back next year. I honestly, I just think we will see, I think Alabama will beat Cincinnati. I think you're going to see Georgia defeat Michigan. I think you're going to see the two best teams in the country, where all season long, I know Beelan's been with Georgia, number one. Bama got him once, but we'll see if they're going to get him again in that national championship. But I'm excited for it. When you look back and you say what other teams can go in, and I know me and Kenny were talking about this off air about talking about adding teams. I don't think there's another team that deserved to be in. Ohio State 2 losses, Oklahoma State had a shot, but they shouldn't lose that game to Baylor. Notre Dame lost head up to Cincinnati, so there's really nobody else worthy of making it. And hopefully we have two good semifinals on Friday and a good national championship.
Great. I have one question. Sis, it's going to be a woodshed game, as you call it?
I'm not going to really get into that, because even when I watch the games, you have my hat on tonight in my Alabama. I don't wear any Alabama stuff when I watch them play. That's just my superstitious. I think Kurt has said it all year, and not because I'm the Alabama guy, but again, this is an SEC team. This is not the American whatever conference. My opinion is this, real simple. They haven't seen a beast like they're going to see 3:30 Friday afternoon. And I'll leave it at that.
And I will add this, Paul, and I know we've talked about it. I think that this game isn't just Cincinnati. I think Cincinnati is what happens with Cincinnati going in this game is going to be humongous going forward, because if they do get, in Sis's words, woodshedded, you will never see another team like Cincinnati make this tournament going forward. I think this will be it, because that's what people keep saying. And if you get a 21 and a 28-point score spread, I think that's it for these small schools, and they will never again be in these college football playoffs.
Yeah, I think that's a good point, Kurt. And I mean, they not only do they have a lot of pressure this year, but I think the weight of every other small school is on their shoulders moving forward too. So that's a very good point. A lot of college football coaching changes this year, and Kenny, take it away on that.
Yeah, we did see quite a few coaching changes. Big schools. Lincoln Riley goes from one big school, Oklahoma, to USC, another big school. Paul, you're a fan of Notre Dame. Your head coach, Brian Kelly, jumped over to LSU, leaving Notre Dame. Mario Cristobal leaves Oregon to head over to the sunny Florida and South Beach down there in University of Miami. And then you had Billy Napier leave the Raging Cajuns, and he's heading to the SEC to head over to Florida. And top coordinator and defensive coordinator in football, Mr. Will Venable, is heading from Clemson to Oklahoma to be the head coach. Those are some of our top changes from the past year, and we'll see how they do going forward.
Question to you, Kenny. Who do you think might be the most successful coach that has changed jobs out of the ones that you named?
You're going to laugh at me? I'm going to say Billy Napier, because he's going from a small school to the SEC, bigger school. These other guys, Kelly's going from a good school to another good school. Cristobal, Venable, it's his first job, so I don't want to hand it to him. I'm going to say Billy Napier is going to be successful in the Swamp.
Okay.
Guys, real quick, I got a comment from our good friend Henry Zimenoff. Rest in peace, John Madden, the true football icon, video game legend, and then some. Somebody today on Facebook put, they put something where it said "make it happen," and they wanted to have Madden. They were saying Madden should be on the cover of the game next year.
And I see Jen's in the waiting room to talk some college basketball with us. We with her in about 2 to 3 minutes, Jen. Okay. Thanks for your patience.
Okay. Sis, you spoke about Devonta Smith winning the Heisman last year. How about talking about this year's Heisman Trophy winner?
again, go back to Bama, well deserved. Uh, I believe, four of the last Heisman Trophy winners in the last 6 years have been from Alabama. And again, it don't bother me, but I know people are, Alabama this and Alabama that. But the bottom line is, I mean, it is what it is, man. The guy's a great coach. Outside of Bear Bryant, I think he's the greatest, and I thought Bear Bryant was when he was alive. Saban, hands down, is a mastermind. He showed it in the Georgia game. And again, you can't touch them, man. And again, they're young. This whole team's back. They might have one. Mechie might be the only senior, and he's hurt now. So obviously he's not going to play. But see, people think because Mechie's not playing, somebody else is going to step up.
Yeah.
You had Devontae Smith catch the winning touchdown as a freshman in a national championship game 4 or 5 years ago. Nobody knew who Devontae Smith was. So again, they just next up. And you know what? That's the way it should be. There's a lot of competitiveness on this team. And the thing I was listening to all the interviews today with these kids on Alabama. None of these kids, or all you hear about, my teammates. It's not about, I got a big gold chain around my neck, and they don't play that, man. That's, again, in my opinion, that's why they're so successful.
Real quick,
ahead.
Henry Zimenoff, the Madden NFL 23 Legend Edition would be a beautiful sight to see for sports gamers. I agree, Henry.
I'm sure you're going to see that. Yeah, I'm sure you're going to see that.
I think that would be awesome.
But just to finish up again, Paul, I mean, again, it is what it is. They're the best team in the country. I don't care what anybody says, even John Beelan.
I just listening to what you're saying, it obviously what you said before, they reload, but not only that, but they bring in good kids who are team oriented.
Absolutely.
All about me. It's about the
Right.
team. And that's something that really speaks for itself, and it shows year after year.
You know what people don't realize? Diggs came into that program, right? He had 3 All-Americans in front of him, and Saban asked him, he didn't say you have to. He said, son, I would say this to you. If you want to play here, maybe you should think about switching. He's got 11 picks in the NFL now. So, again, it just goes to show you that the guy, he knows how to coach and he knows how to judge talent. And that's very big, because a lot of guys can X and O, but a lot of guys can look at a player and say, he should be this, and he really shouldn't be that. So,
Great. Thanks.
thank you.
Kurt. So I think we will all in agreement that the SEC is the best conference in the country. And why don't you talk about the fact that Oklahoma and Texas are now coming into the SEC?
Real quick, Amari, what's going on? Amari saying, "What's up, fellas?"
Up, Amari. How you
Hello,
doing?
Amari.
Hey, Amari.
Yeah, Paul. Hey, the super conference gets even bigger, right? Oklahoma and Texas now going to the SEC. I will say this: I think when you look at, oh my God, what's his name? The Oklahoma coach, ex-coach,
Lincoln Riley.
Lincoln Riley was
right?
not a fan of that because he bolted out of there. And we're gonna see. It just makes the teams tougher. But I'll tell you this: you're not playing in a conference where there's no defense, and you're not gonna win 51-48. Those teams and Venables again now is there in Oklahoma. I don't know if you're gonna win from day one. But, is it going to help recruiting, hurt recruiting? It's going to be interesting, but I just know the SEC did get tougher with two of the better teams from the Big 12. So I'm looking forward to it, and it's really a big super conference now.
Yeah, it is. Okay, let's wrap this college football section up by Kenny talking about endorsements and all of those new images and everything that these college football players can now do for themselves.
Yeah, I'm going to make it short. College football players are able to get, I believe it's $1 million now. And, that's why you're going to see more and more players opt out. They already got the money. You don't want to take that risk of getting hurt in a playoff game and then, go into the draft. I think you're going to see more and more endorsements, and you're going to see more and more players opting out in the future. Do I agree with the endorsements? I mean, go back to a movie called Blue Chips, right? Nick Nolte. And this is what that basically is. So do I agree with it? No, I think they should be getting something, but I don't think they should be getting up to $1 million. That to me, that's what professional sports is for. But that's my opinion on the endorsements.
By the way, real quick, Kenny, I know Mr. Beelan was watching, but this Clemson defense is putting on a show. I hope he is watching it because they probably are behind Georgia, probably the second best defense in the country. So I hope Mr. Beelan's watching it tonight.
Thank you, Paul, for taking the helm there with college football. Great job. I want to welcome Jenny Hoops to the show.
Thank you, sis.
Thank you, Paul.
Thank you, Kurt.
Jenny Hoops to the show. Jen, thanks for joining us for a few minutes here to give us the year in review in college basketball. I got a couple ones for you. In a minute or two, give us a little recap on March Madness, Jen.
I don't have the memory that you guys have when it comes to recapping it from so long ago, but I'm going to say this. I'm going to say we had Gonzaga, right, who, when it came to the finals, unfortunately couldn't deliver again. And, Baylor, I'm not going to say they were surprising, but I feel like they got hot at the right time. You know what? They've carried it into this season. I feel like they really have. They're the defending champions, and I just feel like they're playing right now on both sides of the ball, scoring tons of points, but also getting it done defensively. So they're a great combo. You had some Cinderella teams last year. You had UCLA as the 11 seed, which I think has given them this season getting to the Final Four. But I think this season it has inflated their rating a little bit, as they went through that Cinderella run. That's just my opinion on them. It's way early, of course, to tell. And who were some other Cinderella teams they had? I think it was Oral Roberts, went through. Right.
Abilene Christian, who beat Texas.
And,
Kurt fumed on that one.
Shaka Smart. Thanks, Shaka.
So, you know what, the NCAA tour, just glad that we had it last year. Hope with the way things are going with so many cancellations and postponements here that we can continue to get back on track and have it again. It's going to be interesting to see how things get sorted out this year. But I guess you just have to talk about, the Cinderella teams as usual with the NCAA tour. We had Oregon, a 12 seed, getting to the Elite Eight as well. They had 11 and a 12 seed in the Elite Eight. But then you had, two number ones pitted against each other, Baylor and Gonzaga, which I think a lot of people wanted to see last year. And Baylor, really pulled it out, winning pretty convincingly.
Thanks, Jen. And then the other
Is
story.
that sweatshirt from your from the big guy, Jen? I like it.
No, it's not.
I like the color. Yeah, that's cool.
Thank you. I actually a present to myself. I'm getting like Kurt.
I love it.
By the way, talking about
love it.
Talking about presents. Every New Year's Eve, I get myself. I'm not like a scratch off person, but every New Year's Eve I do scratch offs, right? So I'll buy scratch offs. So for Christmas, our last day before Christmas, we did a couple dollars each a day. Jen bought me 5 scratch offs. So since Christmas, scratch them off. No, I'm gonna wait. Right after dinner tonight, she went, "Can you just do these?" I said, "I'm only gonna do one." Bang. $100 ticket. Thank you, Jenny.
Nice.
Wow, nice.
Very good.
Thank you, Jenny.
There you go.
Beautiful.
I got one more
Did you
story
go to
for
the
Jen.
diner on Christmas morning or no? Excuse me, Ken.
We did not go to the diner, and if we were going to the diner was closed.
We
I was
would
gonna
have
say,
been
what
so
diner is open Christmas Day?
The way everything's going now, you're not kidding.
I got one more story for Jen because she was nice enough to come on tonight. She has some schoolwork she wants to get done. So I wanted her to give us her thoughts on the Coach K retirement.
Well, I feel like it's I don't know how to sum it up here. I mean, he's a legend, and it's it's going to be interesting to see how John Shire takes over the program and does. I was, and I'm going to emphasize the word was, a huge Coach K fan. I'm talking every time I was coaching a season, right? I was a varsity coach for 15 years. I used to read a sports related book prior to the season. And sometimes I would implement some of the things that I felt like I had learned in that season, right? More philosophical as opposed to X's and O's. And I read a lot of his books and I really, respected him. But then he sold his soul to get those one and dones and just changed everything about his graduation rates that he cared so much about. It just completely changed everything. So and plus being a UVA fan, it was hard to maintain a love for Coach K. But with all that aside, he has been great for the sport. It's going to be different not seeing him coach, honestly. I also, I don't know. I feel like it's the Kobe Bryant farewell tour, you announce your retirement before the season starts and then everywhere you go, you get this big send off. I kind of wish he didn't make it about him. I feel like he was a little more, could have done it a little more quietly or maybe turn the reins over to Shire this year 100%, but he seems like he has a pretty good group. So I think he wants to go out on top. I don't know. I think they might win it for him too. I think they might win it all for him.
Thanks, Jen. And before you go, I think, sis, we got a sixth person on the panel tonight. I think I hear Bella in the background.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Bella's putting in her 2
attention,
cents.
yeah.
Bella's putting in her 2 cents about Coach K. I hear.
All I know is, Kenny, I always say this to Jen, if people were listening and they didn't see that's Bella begging for food, it would sound like Jen's torturing this dog. Seriously, it is. It's you're strangling her. That's how she's moaning. It's crazy.
Yeah, she was sleeping before I came on, and then as soon as I started to talk, she woke up and came over and started, begging for food. Yeah, not that I have any, but she still wants it.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming on for a few minutes. When we did this year in review, I wanted to see if you would come on for college basketball because you love college basketball. I do have one more. Paul, I'll read the story. I was going to give you it, but I'll read it real quick.
No
The women's champs, Stanford. Stanford Cardinal wins its first title in 29 years as they win a thriller over its rival Arizona Wildcats by a score of 53-52. And I could tell you, I was watching that game from beginning to end because I remember our friend Marty, who's coming on at 8:30, picked them to beat UConn, which they did. I remember that show that we did with Marty and when he picked the Arizona Wildcats over UConn as an upset. And then they fell just short of pulling it off. But congratulations to the Stanford Cardinal. But Jen, thank you again. We really appreciate you coming on, spending a few minutes with us to do the college basketball stories.
Jen, I got one question for you, Jen.
Yeah.
I got one question for you. How's the weather over there? Because if you look where I am behind me, the snow with the Christmas trees is on. So how's the weather by you?
It's dry downstairs, so something must be going on in the sports room that I'm unaware
It's the
of.
green screen, yeah.
Thanks, Jen.
Thank you, Jen. Guys, real quick, Mark Calderio. Hey, guys, I hope everyone had a nice Christmas. I did. My son won 2 matches today for his wrestling team. He's very proud of him. Congratulations, Mark, and your son.
Congratulations. That kid's undefeated now.
I believe so.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
So running a couple minutes behind, so I'm going to do the top stories in NBA with you guys. And I'm going to start with Mr. Valenti. We're going to give him the NBA Finals. We had your 2 super teams, the Nets and the Lakers. But Kurt, tell us who was in the finals and give us your little recap.
Oh, my God. For the past 2 years, the one guy I kept saying is Chris Middleton. He can't be a max player. I can't stand him. Yada, yada, yada. By the way, you're getting yelled at. Kenny. You're getting yelled at.
Who am I getting yelled at by now?
Jenny Hoop said, Jesus, Kenny removed me while I was trying to say Happy New Year. LOL.
Oh,
I love it.
wow.
Shame on you, Kenny.
Terrible.
You're done,
That's
Kenny. You're done off the
terrible.
good
You're
list.
finished. You're done.
Sorry, Jen.
You're cooked, brother. Done.
Real quick. So getting back to that, I was never a fan. I was always, I can't stand him, yada, yada. But when he had that big game 7 and he hit a shot to knock the Nets out, I said on air, Kenny, do you remember? I will never talk bad about Chris Middleton, and I won't because he beat Brooklyn. But yeah, it was Milwaukee against Phoenix, you know, a team that was, they didn't even make the playoffs the year before. They were in the bubble, but Devin Booker, they got Chris Paul. And what Chris Paul showed how to lead that team and be a leader to that team. I believe they were like up 2-1 or 2-0 in that series too, or 2-1. But Milwaukee did come back. Milwaukee won their first title. Budenholzer, Kenny, who we always talked about on the show, got his championship. And you know what? Hey, Greek Freak didn't go to a power team. He did it at home. Middleton came around. Lopez, Drew Holiday. So, Milwaukee, and I'll tell you this, Milwaukee's no slouch. They could bounce right back and come back again. But good series, Milwaukee, Phoenix, and Milwaukee has a chance to repeat.
Thank you, Kurt. So we had a record recently broken, and that was by our good friend, Coach Scott Fields, who had the honor of coaching. Steph Curry breaks the all-time three-point record, Paul, and give us your thoughts on that story.
Yeah, well, of course, it's happened to be against our Knicks at Madison Square Garden. He beat Ray Allen's record of 2,974 three-pointers. Interesting, Steph took only almost 790 games versus Ray Allen's 1,300 games.
That's sick.
Yeah.
Sick.
And I'll tell you, you could almost make an argument that Steph Curry has changed the way basketball is now the last, say, 5, 7, 10 years, because more people, more teams are going for more three-pointers at this point than ever before. And I think a lot of coaching philosophy has changed that, hey, let's start shooting more three-pointers. It gives us a better opportunity to score more points. And, of course, no one has as good a shooter, maybe the greatest shooter in basketball history is Steph Curry. But the fact that more teams now are throwing up three-pointers every game, I think is an indication of what the philosophy is versus what the three-pointer was in, since the merger of the NBA and the ABA. So congratulations to Steph, obviously a Hall of Fame player, and couldn't have happened to a better player.
Well said, Paul. Well said. I'm going to go to Kurt again, and we'll end with the NBA, and then I'm going to read a couple short stories before we get into Major League Baseball because we're running out of time here. James Harden jumps ship to the Rockets, goes to the Nets, Kurt, early January, to form a super team. Give us your thoughts on that.
Yeah, looking back, I mean, it's just wrong the way Harden did it. Got overweight, won't go to practice, stuff like that. Played him out of shape. I'm forcing my way. I'm not going to go. But if you're the Nets, I think the Nets did the right thing. I mean, the Nets are better. Listen, the Nets gambled with Kyrie and Durant. They got to get a window. They got to try to get their championship. We have all these number one picks and, Curtis LeVert and who was the other guy? The center that I forgot his name, but the center, nice little pieces, but you're not going to win a championship with those guys. I still don't know if they're going to win a championship, but the Nets went all in, so they should have made that move, and we'll see. I mean, he's not a big playoff guy, so he has to redeem himself.
Okay, thank you, Kurt. I'm going to read a couple of stories in sports world here. WNBA, Chicago Sky. WNBA superstar Candace Parker signs with the Chicago Sky to help win its first league title. Despite a 16-16 record and a six seed, The Sky went on to beat the 5 seed Phoenix Mercury to capture their first title in WNBA. Congratulations to them. Kentucky Derby. Kentucky Derby winner Medina Spirit sadly passes away 6 months after winning the historic race. Medina Spirit's trainer Bob Baffert, who some claim to be the best ever thoroughbred horse trainer ever, was banned from racing at the Belmont Stakes for using an illegal substance, which was not his first offense, on Medina Spirit in the Kentucky Derby and ruining Medina Spirit's chances at a Triple Crown. Olympics, Simone Biles drops out of the gymnastics. Mental health issues, raises awareness with the mental health issues. Big story in the Olympics. The medal count, the top 5 medal count. USA brought home 39 gold, 113 medals total. China, 38, 88 total. Japan, 27 and 58 total. Great Britain, 22 gold and 65 total. And I believe that's the Russian Federation, or ROC, 20 gold. Forgive me for not knowing who that is, but ROC got 71 total. And in hockey, we were going to have Daniel on, but he had another obligation. Stanley Cup went to the repeating Tampa Bay Lightning. They beat the Montreal Canadiens. And the NHL welcomed a new franchise in the Seattle Kraken. So congratulations to the Seattle fan base out there for getting a hockey team. And the last sport I got, guys, before we get into baseball, is golf. Tiger Woods suffers a severe life-threatening accident, which jeopardizes his career. Phil Mickelson becomes the oldest golfer ever to win a major at the age of 50 when he wins the U.S. Open. And the Ryder Cup, which is a team competition, the USA captures that over the European team to capture the Ryder Cup, youngest team ever, in a 19-9 victory in golf. So I want to move on to baseball, guys, and then we'll finish up with what I have written down here. So, Sis, World Series featured the Dodgers and not the Dodgers, featured the Braves and the Astros. Give us quick thoughts on the World Series, Sis.
Yeah, I was glad to see Atlanta win it. They deserved it. And I was glad to see the cheaters lose it because they deserved it. That's my take on the World Series.
Plain and simple. Kurt, you have anything to add on the World Series? Or
No, hey, listen, hats off to Atlanta. Did it without their best player, Acuna, and they're another team. They can, listen, that division's going to be good. But, hey, Atlanta can come right back and win this thing again. So, but congratulations to them.
And so, unfortunately, one of the bad things in Major League Baseball is the off season. We recently had a lockout. And Paul, you want to give us your little thoughts on the Major League Baseball lockout?
Yeah, I mean, I'll do it short and sweet. The owners, when the collective bargaining agreement ended December 1st, decided to lock out the players, which means no more trades, no more signing of free agents, no more use of facilities. Essentially, it was a preemptive move by the owners, because obviously the players' union could strike if it got closer to the baseball season. It all comes down to, unfortunately, money. It always comes down to money. They've had a couple of lockouts previously in the 70s and in 1990. Hopefully, the lockout will get settled before too far into spring training, so it won't push back the baseball season. But it's very difficult to take sides when you have millionaires and billionaires fighting for a couple of cents. So hopefully they'll be able to resolve this, sign a long collective bargaining agreement, and this won't happen for a while.
Thank you, Paul. And I'll come right back to you with the Mets, Paul. Your quick thoughts on the Mets this upcoming week.
Probably it should start with the fact that the Mets were bought by billionaire Steve Cohen, who came in.
Uncle Stevie,
yeah. The fact that he's the richest owner in baseball, wants to have a championship within 5 years or so, which is music to Mets ears. And the Mets got off pretty well. They played well the first half of the season, but essentially tanked the rest of the year, and I think finished in third place. But with an open checkbook, the Mets signed 4 free agents, most notably Max Scherzer to a record 3-year, $130 million contract, which averages out to about $43 million a year, which is the largest contract in baseball history. Scherzer will now with Jacob deGrom, probably the two best 1-2 staff in duo in baseball. Hopefully they'll both stay healthy. So we'll see what happens. But a lot of good things going on with the Mets. And finally, they hired the guy that I wanted, that certainly I think will be the most responsible for this team, Buck Showalter. I think he has proven he can win with any of the other teams he's played. Specifically, he did well in New York with the Yankees, and I think that was important. The fact that he managed in New York, which is, I think we can all agree, is unlike any other place in the country.
Thank you, Paul.
Thank you.
And Sis, you want to do anything on the Yankees? There's not much to talk about with the Yankees, but
No, not really.
okay, good, because I didn't want to talk about them either. Okay, so that concludes baseball, but I am going to read the Hall of Fame inductees. And our Hall of Fame inductees in Major League Baseball this past year were Gil Hodges, Jim Cott, Minnie Minoso, Tony Oliva, Bud Fowler, and Buck O'Neil. Congratulations on being inducted into the Hall of Fame. Unfortunately, we lose people every year, friends of ours and colleagues, the sports world, et cetera, et cetera. And I want to recognize these people now. I'm going to start with the K&K Sports Show, people we lost this past year. And number one on my list is Michael Briggsy Briggs, co-host of Briggsy on Sports and All In on High School Sports. Also, dear friend of ours, brother, known him for years. You will be missed. Coach Jeff Hronowich, we know him as Coach H, longtime softball coach, Immaculate Conception.
Kenny, I gotta stop you because Coach H would be all over you. I believe it's Coach Horohanich.
Okay. Yeah, that's it.
Horohanich. He would be all over you, but he's Coach H.
Coach H. Longtime softball coach, Immaculate Conception, coached with your sister, Kurt, and at Saddlebrook, most recently basketball and softball coach at Saddlebrook High School.
Yes.
And then third on our list here, we just most recently lost a good dear friend of ours, Coach Drew Gibbs, head football coach, Ramapo High School, legendary head football coach at Ramapo High School. He's the reason why Kurt and I know Sis, and Coach Breslin know many people thanks to him. You will be missed. The sports world also lost quite a few people this past year, and I'm going to read them off right now to everybody. We lost Hank Aaron, Hall of Fame baseball player. We lost Floyd Little, Hall of Fame NFL player. Paul Westfall, NBA player and coach. Tommy Lasorda, Major League Baseball manager. Don Sutton, Hall of Fame pitcher. Ted Thompson, NFL GM. John Chaney, legend college basketball coach. Pedro Gomez, ESPN reporter. When I saw his picture, I was like, oh my gosh, that's Pedro Gomez. I remember him. Tony Trafford, tennis legend. Leon Spinks, boxing legend. Marty Schottenheimer, coached Sis, NFL coach. Vincent Jackson, NFL wide receiver. Mark Pavlich, Mircon Ice team member. Marvelous Marvin Hagler, boxing legend. Elgin Baylor, NBA Hall of Famer. Howard Bo Schellenbecker, legendary college football coach. Mark Eaton, Utah Jazz center. Jim Fossil, NFL, and Paul, Sis, and myself, former Giants coach. For Mr. Briggsy, Paul, Mr. Wonderful Orndorff. He must be wanting to watch some wrestling up above.
Yep.
And ask God for a wrestler, and he got him one of the best. Mr. Wonderful, Paul Orndorff. Dick Chidrow. Bobby Bowden, college football coach and legend. Sam Huff, NFL player and former New York Giant. Demaryius Thomas, former NFL player and former Bronco player, and most recently, John Madden, NFL coach, legend, and icon. I want to end the year in review segment with this. We just did, the sad people we lost, but we gained a few people, and I want to mention these people right now. Thanks to the K&K Sports Show, we have met some new friends that I can call family. We can call family. Besides Kurt, Sis, Jen, and Beelan, the show has brought in a few new people in our lives this past year, and I want to recognize these awesome people who have come into our lives. Carson Shearer. Met Carson through his Carson Claus Carnival game channel on YouTube, and through chat invited him on a show, and we all had such a good time with him that he came back and back and back, now for slightly over a year, and is part of our Wits and Wagers family and crew. Paul Rosen. Paul, I met you through a Giants chat room on Facebook, and you were the one Giants fan I can tell was passionate and making a ton of sense in your comments. So I wrote to you on the page and off the page and invited you on as a Giants guest speaker, which has grown into much more throughout the year, and look forward to the future with you on our show. Joey Clams. When Kurt said he has a guy coming on Wits and Wagers named Joey Clams, my response was, huh? Well, in simple words, I'm glad he did, because I've never seen someone so unique in such a way and brings an energy to our show that no words can describe. Coach Joe Breslin. Even though I met Coach Breslin on the show over a year ago, I finally got to meet the man in person back in August, and Coach Breslin is one of the nicest guys you will ever meet. Coach B is always willing to help us out in any way he can on all our shows, and we can't thank him enough. Everybody at the Rocky Mountain Sports Network, Dave, Matt, Caleb, Scott, and everyone else. Kurt met them on their webpage, and throughout the months we have built a brotherhood with these guys, and I can't thank them enough for being part of our show and allowing me and others to be part of theirs. Kurt, want to mention the interns real quick?
Yeah, and I also want to give a shout out again to everybody. Like you said, thank you, Paul. Thank you, Joey Clams. Obviously, thank you, Beelan. Everybody, who else joins us, Hoops with their college basketball. But I want to give a special shout out to my Rocky Mountain friends, because when I got to hear your garbage, Kenny, about Teddy Bridgewater and all your stuff with the Broncos, I need somebody to back me up. Sis ain't going to back me up. Paul might back me up, but I need really true Bronco backup. So I'm so glad I can talk Broncos with somebody. But yeah, our interns, unbelievable job. A lot of behind the scenes stuff. Olivia, she does more of our podcast stuff. She's also been doing a lot of stuff with our logos and stuff for K&K. Rachel, who does all our pictures and, upcoming pictures that she had Sis's birthday last week, got the picture of Sis. So every week she comes up with a photograph. She's also starting to work on our sponsorships, which is awesome. And of course, Daniel, Daniel behind the scene does our social media, our Twitter, our Facebook posts. But he comes on. He's a big sports fan, big hockey fan, because none of us on here, I can speak for myself. I don't know any hockey. So anything Daniel helps us with that. He's a big Met fan. And it was awesome because Kenny got it set up last week where Daniel went on with the Rocky Mountain Sports guys, as part of the K&K to talk about a little East Coast hockey. So I want to give a big shout out to our interns, and they do a great job, and going to be doing more in the years to come.
Thank you. Sis, Paul,
Kenny.
you want to add anything?
Yeah, I like to.
Yeah.
Thank. Go ahead, Paul. You go, then I'll go.
I would just like to thank all of you guys. Christmas night, when I received that jib jab, that was such a thrill to be included in that. I can't tell you guys how that made me feel.
I swear, when I was telling Jody sent me one of my parents and my sister. So I said,
awesome.
"Can you do one of K&K?" Awesome. So she said, "I need all the photos." So then when you posted it, right, Paul, you didn't know it was you at first, did you?
No, I didn't. Luby saw it. So, and then when I texted you and you said you're in it, but that made me feel so So good, guys.
That's
Hey,
awesome.
you're part of the crew, Paul. Whether you like it or not, you're part of the crew.
But you know what?
No, Kurt, I don't like it. I love it.
Awesome.
Just before you go, I just wanted to let Marty and Vila know we'll be bringing them in a minute. Thank you for your patience.
I just wanted to say, number one, Kurt does a great job with the show. Like, we kind of get on each other sometime. We're running late, yada, yada, yada. But at the end of the day,
sometimes we do it every week. We get on our case.
Well, I'm just saying, at the end of the day, it's unbelievable. We got a great crew. Paul Rosen, great person. So happy that we met you. You're on the show.
Thank you, sis.
You're welcome.
But
Kenny
sis, you know what, sis?
Job.
We got to do one thing. Kenny does, and we all do a great job. But Kenny, it's really always Kenny's agenda on the K&K, and I want to give a shout out to Kenny with that. He does an unbelievable job with that. He really does.
I was just gonna say he's kind of like
totally agree.
He's behind the scenes, but he does he does a lot of work. I think me and you know that, Kurt.
Oh, he's unbelievable with the agenda. It's always his agenda, and he does a great job.
That means a lot.
I forgot which one of you guys said it, but key word is family and getting along, and nobody's like, they got a big head. It's my show or anything. And I think that's the beauty part of this show that I love. But yeah, bring in Marty, man. Let's talk to Marty.
Yep.
Mark is saying Rangers are up 2-1 over Florida in the second period. So there's a little hockey.
And looks like Bielen's having some Chinese that he just put to the side.
There you go, Mr. Bielen.
And waiting on Marty to connect to his audio. Mr. Bielen, thank you for being a part of our show. I met you years ago, so you weren't included in the new people, but thank you for always being a big part of our show.
Anytime, likewise.
And you know what, Bielen? I got to tell you this. We were talking, I want to say, I don't know if it was Sis or it was Jen. It might have been Jen. No, it was over the Christmas break. We were talking about the show, and we got into the part of, how's Bielen? And I said, you know what? Bielen is Bielen. Bielen's now how he was at 11 and 12 when we knew him. Same thing. He's going to cause a little trouble. He's going to say something that's going to start a riot. That's Bielen. But Bielen, you're the best. We love you, Bielen. And I just don't know, though, if Sis is ever going to forgive you for that 56-7 text. So
no, it's all
I don't
good.
know how that's going to happen. I can't speak for Sis on that one.
We love him to death. He knows how to stir the pot, and I know how to, back off and do what I got to do when I got to do it.
Kenny, we got a comment. Oh, I'm sorry, real quick. Ken says we got a comment, Kenny, from a former classmate, Danielle Colazo. Let's go Cardinals with the little Arizona logo. Great show, guys.
I know Bielen liked Clemson tonight. Just a word of advice: don't put any money on Cincinnati, buddy.
All right, I want to welcome our special guest, and I did not mention him in my thing here because he is part, and I wanted to do it live on the show. I want to welcome Marty Joins from Intercept Your Lunch, and thanks to our show and his show, we have created a friendship throughout the year, and so glad to have you part of our lives, Marty, and thank you for coming on today. It's been a while.
Yeah, certainly. I appreciate the invite and appreciate, like you said, meeting you guys over the last year or so, and look forward to continue collaborating throughout the 2022 season with all kinds of different sports, and let's see if Sis can win another Bama jersey.
Well, I'm not talking to Marty because his Penn State beat me, Auburn, so I'm not talking to Marty.
You look great, Marty. God bless you, brother. We haven't seen you
Thank
in
you.
a while.
Thank you, Marty.
Invite, man.
You look younger. What's your secret?
Yeah, I feel older, though. I feel older.
Well, hopefully you had a Merry Christmas, and I'm looking forward to a new year, Marty. Always good to see you.
Yep, awesome.
Sis definitely, when Sis said he spoke to you, we were all like, yes, we got to get Marty back on. And what better way, talk some college football with you tonight. We got the New Year's Six. And Sis, I'm going to let you run the college football segment since he's your guest tonight. You want to start with your Alabama? Whoever you want to start with, sis. I got the New Year's Eve 6 bowls
Well,
in front of us.
I want to get Marty's thoughts on the Michigan, Georgia, and the Alabama, Cincinnati. So he's our guest. So give him the floor. Yeah,
Yep.
give him the floor.
Certainly. I mean, I guess we'll start with the Cotton Bowl. We'll start with your Bama. Roll Tide, right? They're 13-point favorites in this one. Cincinnati coming in as the underdog. I know a lot of Bama players have been talking that they're the underdog. No Mechie, wide receiver for Alabama. I think that's going to be a huge loss. But the committee, the college football committee, wanted this. And they didn't want this matchup because they like non-power fives in there. They want to show the fans, show the world that non-power fives do not belong in the college playoffs. And I think Alabama routes them. A sneaky bet. I do like Cincinnati, though, in the first quarter, plus 255. I think they're going to come out with a lot of passion and energy, but over 4 quarters, Bama's talent is just going to overtake. So give me Bama 41, Cincinnati 23.
I know we're going to get Mr. Beelan's comments in a few minutes. But,
Michigan, Georgia, Marty.
Yeah, Michigan, Georgia, Orange Bowl. It should be a good one. I think it's 2 teams with similar styles. It's going to clash and see who's going to take this one. I know a lot of people talk about running back Haskins for Michigan, but the other running back for them, number 2, Blake Cora, Maryland player, high school player, football player of the year 2 years ago. He's solid. And if they can get just a little creative and use him in the backfield, trying to keep Georgia off their toes, don't just run halfback dives, I think that could be successful. But Georgia's defense is just something that we haven't seen in a long time. So give me Georgia 23, Michigan 16. Another little sneaky bet I like there is, regardless of the score, I don't believe Michigan's going to score over 17 points. So give me Michigan minus or under 17.5.
If we go back to the championship game, give me your thoughts on what Georgia will do differently this time defensively against Alabama.
I think defensively they're going to be a little bit more prepared for the passing attack. Again, I think that wide receiver Mechie for Alabama, that's going to be a huge loss for them, and they're going to try to use and be creative in their own rights to try to get more balls down the field. But I think Georgia's going to be more prepared for that than they were. I see Georgia probably being a favorite in that game by 2 to 3 points, just because, again, they're still probably the most talented team in college football, but you never like to bet against Nick Saban in those times. Kirby Smart is going to try, I think, for like the 7th or 8th time to beat them and just can't. But I do think, and I'm going against the grain, I think Georgia would get that win in a very, very close game.
They're good. They're going to definitely double Williams. And what I think happens this time around, they'll probably try to play press coverage, okay, man to man.
Yep.
But I think where Saban comes in with this, he's going to have Mr. Number 4 out of the backfield with the little swing passes. It's not going to be like the last time, 30 yards down the field. It's going to be a totally different game.
Yep.
I say Bama wins that game by about 7 points.
Again, yeah. I mean, you're not wrong. I think that's going to be a 50-50 split game, just because of what happened in the championship game. People are going to remember that, but I don't want people to forget. I know folks won't forget that Georgia's still a very talented team. It'll be on display against Michigan, as well as if they beat Michigan and go to the college football championship, they're just going to be a really tough team. And I think that they're going to be prepared for that passing attack. I agree with you, man coverage, press, and they're going to send blitz. They're not going to let Bryce Young sit back there. And if he's able to beat that, it could be a blowout. It all depends. He's definitely got the poise to do that.
Could you imagine Cincinnati against Michigan in the championship game?
No.
Yeah, I want to play devil's advocate and Mr. Beelan is on my side with this. So everybody's looking ahead already. Since Georgia, will Bama beat Georgia? Will Georgia beat Bama? They both got to get by their respective teams. One, Two, your top receiver, Williams, best in college football, in my opinion. But there's a sleeper guy on Cincinnati who was not allowed a touchdown all year, and that's Gardner. And he's a first-round talent that's going to probably go in the first round this year. And, you know, you take away Williams, and you got no Mechie now on the other side. Somebody, I know it's the next
You
man
got
up over there.
Billings. You got Billings beat up.
Right. I know.
Got the
I
tight
understand
end.
that.
Yeah.
But there may be a lot of looking, you know, ahead in this game, and Cincinnati's gonna, you know, I don't know. You know, nobody's talking about Gardner on Cincinnati. He's top defensive player in my league. I don't want to let Beelan. He's
You
on
can rest
Cincinnati.
assured before you go to Beelan, there's no way in the world Saban has these kids looking by anybody. Trust me. But go ahead.
Beelan, I'll let you talk about Cincinnati real quick since you're on the Cincinnati train.
Yeah, listen, I've said it all year. I mean, they have two. I mean, Gardner's one of the top DBs in college football, but they also have what's his name too, Kobe Bryant, and these two guys are the two best DBs in the game, and they're going to have their best matchup of the year, and if whatever they can do to shut down Bama's high power offense, it's going to be them two. I mean, the same thing like with piggyback off of what Sis said. I mean, there is going to be a lot of those swing plays, out. I hope Cincinnati's defenses. I've watched them a little bit and started reading more about them a little bit more. Is that they switch up their defenses a lot. They don't really have a typical defense. Like they're not like a 3-4, 4-3 or whatever. They play a lot of 4-4s. They can play the Tampa 2. So. It's going to be interesting to see what they can do and what it is. But like I said, I think the only way Cincinnati wins the game is if Riddler and the offense come gun blazing out from the get-go, and they just got to keep that up. And they got to go all 4 quarters. There's not 2 quarters, not first 1 half. It's literally 4 quarters, and they got to go guns blazing. I know my buddy Kurt over there doesn't like that, but I mean, I think to beat Bama, that's what you have to do. And you've seen it throughout the whole year. I mean, the Florida game, the Mississippi game, like you're not going to beat them 10-3. You're going to beat them 44-41 or
right,
something.
But I will say this again, and I remember watching that Alabama-Florida game, and basically what Florida did was Florida went old school Florida with Tebow, direct snap, wildcat, and ran the quarterback. They're not going to be able to block Alabama. So if they drop back and throw 40 times, they're going to get run right off that. They're going to lose by 40. They're going to have to, they said, Riddler's going to have to, they're going to have to run him. I mean, he might have to run 30 times just to direct snap and run it because they're not going to be able to block that front. So, and you do not throw the ball 40 times on Alabama. It's not going to win. You have to run the ball. If you watch that Florida game, they went, I don't even think they had a receiver. Double tight, quarterback snap, direct snap to him, direct snap to the running back, 3 yards, 4 yards, 4 yards, and kept Alabama off the field. Because if you go 3 and out, that game's going to be 21-0, and it's over. So,
well, Paul, do you have anything for Marty? I know.
Yeah.
This Paul, by the way, Marty. He's a new member.
Hi, Marty.
Hey, Paul, how's it going?
Good. I'm sitting here, and I'll tell you, call me crazy, but I just have a sneaking suspicion Michigan is going to give Georgia a really good game.
So do I.
I think if Georgia overlooks Michigan, I think after beating Ohio State, I think Harbaugh and that team is looking to make a name for themselves this year.
That's a great point. It's a great point.
And it would not shock me if they beat Georgia on Friday.
It won't shock me either. I told Kurt that today. Yep.
Yeah. So
Michigan just has to get creative on the offensive side. They're going to have to use speed on the outside. They just can't be predictable. Harbaugh's has done a good job in the Big Ten on being unpredictable and beating teams this year. He's brought in some young, new coordinators, some fresh ideas. So hopefully that helps. But that's where I can see them being an issue if they try to fall in love with the same style that's got them there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Marty,
you nailed it.
I have a question, Marty, about the Georgia quarterback situation. What's going on with that?
Yeah, I know that they both struggled down the end. You've got JT Daniels. He's the prolific passer that came out of California. I'm not totally sure exactly where they're heading for this game, but ultimately for Georgia, they're going to need that quarterback to not turn the ball over and be crucial on third downs and getting those conversions. I've heard a lot of folks talk, and even here tonight, where you can't get down early, you can't start throwing it. I think for Michigan too, you can't throw the ball 40, 45 times against them. They've got a great pass rush and they can get a lot of turnovers. We saw that in the Wisconsin game. We saw that in other games this season with them. So Georgia's definitely going to have to run the ball, but they're definitely going to have to convert, and that's going to have to be the arms of whatever quarterback they put behind center.
Yeah.
Marty, do you think Kirby Smart's sitting on, excuse me, this starting quarterback till the game comes? Is that a possibility?
Yeah, I would think so. They're probably not going to want to show their cards too early, and I wouldn't be surprised if you saw both of them trot out there and play a little bit, try to throw them off guard.
Yep.
Like you said, anything to throw them off, anything to. Again, I don't think they need the quarterback in their system to throw for 400 yards and 4 touchdowns like Alabama does.
No.
But they definitely need somebody to convert those third and fives.
I agree. Yeah, the wrinkle would be good.
Agreed.
Yep. Thank
you.
Yes.
Marty, I got a quick question for you. Paul's a big Notre Dame fan. What's your thoughts on that game and prediction?
Yeah, Notre Dame's got a tough one against Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State, they beat Baylor. They could be potentially talking about getting into the college football playoffs, but head coach Marcus Freeman, I think that was a great hire, keeping in-house. The players seem to love him. And it's weird, college football bowl games that aren't in the playoffs, it's all about that motivation, I think, and you can go one or two ways. You got a lot of players going to the NFL. You've got coaches leaving, you got coaches staying. It's a very weird time for college football, but Notre Dame kept in-house, kept with Marcus Freeman and their quarterback on Oklahoma State side, Spencer Sanders. He does like to throw a lot of interceptions. So I do like Notre Dame in that game, and I like them big. My prediction right now is 31-14. And a good prop bet for that one is I don't see Oklahoma State scoring over 21 points. So I would take the under on that team all day long.
Yeah, I mean, I think Notre Dame's defense, especially the defensive line, has been as active and ferocious as a Notre Dame defense as I've seen in many, many years. And I think Freeman coming in with that attacking style has led itself to how Notre Dame has played defense this year.
Yeah, definitely. And like I said, it's a weird time for college football in terms of the movement we're seeing in players, the movement we're seeing in coaches, and for Notre Dame to stay true with Marcus Freeman, I think that's only going to motivate their players more.
Yeah. Great.
Kurt, Sis, Beelan, anything to add?
Yeah, I want to get Beelan's address so I can send him a Gillette razor so he can trim that beard up.
I hope you're doing Friday night. I hope you're doing the mouth chomping exercises. You know.
No.
Marty's got. We got to fill Marty in with the betting.
I won't text you after Cincinnati gets beat. I won't do
Kurt, what I told you the other night, I said this might be the last show that me and Sis are actually friends on the show.
Yeah.
Nah.
If Cincinnati
that might be your style. That's not my style.
Marty, if Cincinnati pulls off the upset of the century, Sis agreed to go
down to your house in Maryland if that
happens. He is going to go to Beelan's house and cut his grass with his teeth, he said. So we're going to get a little video.
There you go.
Guys,
I will go to Maryland from Stewartsville, New Jersey. It'll take me 2 weeks, but I'll walk to your house. All
right. If Cincinnati wins, and that's a big if, bigger upset of all time, Cincinnati and Alabama or Buster Douglas against Mike Tyson?
Nope. Texas beating
Buster
USC.
Douglas.
No. Texas beating USC. Ask Mr. Valenti about that game.
Texas beating
Listen, after watching that 30 for 30, I don't know if you guys watched the 30 for 30 with Buster Douglas. After watching that 30 for 30, everybody knew that Tyson was going down.
Yeah.
The way that dude came to that fight, there was no question he was not losing that fight.
That was fixed.
That was the most
Oh,
crazy.
you don't think there's no
hope Friday's fixed too.
Yep, Friday's fixed. Yep.
That's about your only shot.
Hey, you're still walking to Maryland.
That's right.
I'll let you
tell you
walk in the
what.
springtime, though. I won't let you walk in the dead of winter.
I'll go one better. If Cincinnati beats Alabama, I'll walk to Maryland barefooted.
I'm writing this down because this is going in the quote book. I'm gonna have a little quotes. I'm writing a book of Sis's best quotes.
Make sure you're putting in your notes. Again, tell Beelan to send me his address so I can send him a nice Gillette twin blade to trim up that whatever that's on his face.
Anybody have anything else? College football? Just the hour and a half flew by tonight with our year in review. If anybody has anything else.
Marty?
Yes.
I have a question. We spoke about earlier in the show, I don't know if you heard about all the college football coaches carousel changing. Who might be the most successful coach that's changed, whether it's Kelly or Lincoln Riley or whoever?
Yeah, I think Lincoln Riley's the popular answer there with the resources he'll have at USC plus having the top recruit quarterback coming in. But I guess if we're going to count as a change, I love Marcus Freeman at Notre Dame. I think that is going to be one of the best hires we'll see this year. I think Brian Kelly's going to struggle in LSU. I don't think he'll struggle in terms of the outside world, but in Baton Rouge, they need to beat Alabama every year and be just as successful. And Sis knows that the Alabama run they've been on the last 10, 15 years is just something that we might not ever see again. And it's just hard to compare, hard to keep up with that kind of pace. So I think even if he wins 10 games a year, it's going to be deemed a failure. But I think Marcus Freeman right now for me was a home run hire.
Great.
I just have one more question for Marty. Marty, you're a huge Penn State fan, right?
Yes.
Do you think Joe's legacy was ruined because of what happened in the program?
Sandusky era?
Yeah.
Yeah, certainly definitely puts a black eye on his legacy there. A lot of unfortunate events happened in the past that, some people say it was in his control. Some people say it was not. But regardless, it was something that stained the program for a long time, still stains us to this day. And but ultimately for his legacy, I think it kind of almost wiped it out to where we used to go as kids and it was all about him. And now you go up there and it's kind of those years and those wins are just definitely vacated at this point in terms of
Marty,
memories.
I want to ask you your opinion because I know I have mine. Did Joe Pops know about it?
Yeah, I mean, if you watch the HBO series about it, it definitely seemed like they portrayed that he did.
He covered it because he didn't want to have a black guy on the program. I get it. Okay.
Yeah, and it's just you see progression of college coaches and how, especially back then and a few years ago, coordinators paid their dues, had top-ranked units, and then moved on to be a head coach. I always thought it was weird that Sandusky always had top 10, top 5, even the best college defensive systems in the nation and still never sniffed any type of head coaching gig. I think that has to play in the fact that potentially maybe a lot of folks knew what his background and motto was and unfortunately just kind of swept it under the rug to keep the program afloat.
Yeah, I had two friends that played, Chet Palavecchio and Mark D'Onofrio, who I had the pleasure of coaching at St. Peter's. And, I talked to both of them, and they thought the same thing. Like you said, Joe Pops knew about it, but, the program was bigger than Sandusky, so he kind of swept it under the rug. Thank you.
Yep.
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 Thank you, Marty.
All right, boys. So let's do this, Mr. Kirkpatrick. We got a big panel. Let's do closing thoughts. You could do closing thoughts on anything. Doesn't have to be college football. I'll start it off. Again, I want to thank all of you guys, obviously, for being part of the show. We all are family on here. I hope everyone has a happy new year. But Beelan and Kenny, listen, whatever you guys plan on drinking, start it at 3:30. You'll probably need it by 4:45, 5 o'clock. And at second half, my last thoughts are save a couple episodes of Cobra Kai, because in the second half, I think the game's going to be unwatchable. And I'm pumped up more for Cobra Kai on Friday, then the Alabama romp, and the Georgia win, and then the SEC final. But happy New Year to all you guys. Mr. Beelan, your final thoughts.
I'll keep it short and sweet. I got my air horns ready in my trunk, so you better be watching out because you're going to be calling the cops on me.
Wait, am I going to be calling, or remember there's like 600 things in this place, so
I can get away from her. She's a little cutie. I can talk my way around her.
You got to get through that guard. That's all I'm going to say.
But I'll keep it short and sweet. Good year with everybody. Appreciate everybody on here and all the talks and everything. But go Bearcats. Let's go.
Marty, final thoughts.
Yeah, it'll be an exciting time for college football. I have to agree with you, Kurt. It's going to be a good one in the beginning, but Bama's going to roll tide, and we'll see. But I'm going to take the Georgia Bulldogs to win it all. And don't sleep on that Ohio State-Utah State game. I think that's going to be a really good one. A lot of folks opting out on the Ohio State side, but this might be where C.J. Stroud makes his case for Heisman next year, and it starts on New Year's Day.
And Marty, please let us know where and when we can find your podcast, Intercept Your Lunch.
Yeah, certainly. You guys see the logo here, Intercept Your Lunch. We talk NFL football, college football. Right now we're on our 2-week vacation, kicking back up in the new year, hopefully previewing a great college football championship, along with getting in the height of the NFL. Had to take a little break because the Washington football team has just let me down so much. Spirits have been low around this time around this area. Spirits have been real low. So,
Marty, look at this panel, Marty.
What day is this show on and what time?
Typically, we record on Tuesday nights and publish out Wednesdays. And again, that's typically what we do. But again, the spirits are low here, so we had to take an extra week off.
I got you.
Well, Marty, look at the we got Broncos and Kurt, Giants with me, Paul and Sis, and Jets, and we get to add Washington.
Yeah.
At least we're all in the same boat.
We got to get a winner on this show, Kenny. That's what we got to do. Get a winner. Mr.
Hey, Marty.
You
Marty,
can invite
wait
the Chief fans on. I ain't inviting the Chief fan on. I ain't inviting no Cowboy fans on. That's for sure.
No.
Paul,
no. Thank you, Marty, for joining us today.
Thank you, guys.
Mr. Rosen, your final
Thank
thoughts.
you, Marty.
Well, first of all, I want to wish each and every one of you a healthy and happy new year to you and your families. This has been an amazing experience over the last 9-10 months to know you guys, and it's just been phenomenal. Thank you again. Every week I feel blessed to come on and just talk about the stuff that everybody loves to speak about every week, sports. So thank you guys. It's been fabulous. Happy New Year, and we'll do it next year.
That's it. Mr. Siciliano, final thoughts.
First of all, Happy New Year to everyone. My sister said Happy New Year to all.
Tell her
She watches
likewise.
Thank you.
She watches the show every week. Beelan, if I were you, I would probably start drinking like 7 o'clock in the morning. So by, game time, you'll be stu-nod and it won't hurt as much. So that's my advice to you. But in all honesty, great people on this show, man. I wouldn't trade it in for the world. That's my closing thoughts.
And
Roll Tide.
And Mr. Kirkpatrick, again, great job with you and Paul with the agenda tonight with the year in review.
Thank you.
And
Thank
every
you.
week, Kenny. So your final thoughts, you end the show for tonight.
like everybody said, Happy New Year to you all, your family, and more than just friends to me. And, the show's brought friendships back together. It's brought us closer together. It's brought in new friendships, new family. I look forward to 2022 with everybody. And now getting into Cincinnati real quick, I was going to hold this thought, but I'm going to end with this thought. Houston is trash, and UCF does not have a quarterback. And Sis's words earlier, next man up. So I do not want to hear 4 men were out for Auburn. Houston beat them. AAC.
AAC, baby. Let's go.
UCF beat Florida.
2-0.
AAC. Let's go, Cincinnati.
What does that got to do with the Alabama game?
Nothing.
AAC versus SEC 2-0. It's going to be 3-0 Friday night.
Let's go.
Phelan, you didn't start drinking yet.
He started. Yeah, he started.
Let them
sis.
all talk, Phelan. Let them all talk.
By
Hey,
the way,
you got-
one more comment, Beelan. I know you don't like it, but probably ranked number 3 in the preseason poll are the Clemson Tigers because their defense did it again. The second best defense in the country, the Clemson Tigers.
Kurt, last year we listened to Kenny and Beelan. Ohio State was going to beat them. That didn't happen. Then this year, Kenny made the statement Miami was going to beat them. That didn't happen. So guess what my lucky number is? 3.
My lucky number is 2 hours. I'm going to watch, me and Jen are going to watch 6 episodes of Cobra Kai early, save 4. So for the second half, I'll put that game on the second
sis,
TV, right to Cobra Kai.
But sis, I'm not talking about Alabama, Cincinnati. I'm talking about Houston, Auburn. Houston's trash.
But
Houston's
the
trash.
They are.
Listen, I love you, but the thing about you and Beelan, when you guys pick, these teams always lose. You haven't picked a winner in 10 weeks.
We're leaving it on that note. You haven't picked a winner in 10 weeks.
Hey, Kurt, the same hype that I had when the Braves won the World Series is the same hype I'm going to have Friday night.
Me
Don't
too
be
now,
pointing
Phelan.
that finger
Me too.
unless you can back it up.
Kenny and
Let's go.
Sis, my last thing, Sis and Beelan, don't disappear on Friday via chat. Don't disappear.
Exactly.
All right,
Kurt
boys.
runs every week.
Boys,